Well, if you thought you had to head to the coast to get shrimp fresh out of the water, you need to think again. Tasty Harvest Shrimp has come to West Boylston, and the shrimp does not get any fresher than this. I am here today at the shrimp farm, which is located on Lee Street, and I'm joined by Adam Curtis, who is part of this family-run organization. How are you, Adam?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Great. It's great to be here. I think this is amazing that you've started the shrimp farm. How did you get into this in the first place?
Our family was looking to start a family business, and my father, Tony, was listening to NPR, and there was a story on indoor shrimp farming in the United States, and he thought it was a great idea, so he made a note of who they interviewed during that segment, RDM Shrimp in Indiana, and he called them up and asked if they would be interested in helping us start our own farm, and they said absolutely.
Wow.
And so here we are.
It's a big facility too.
Yes.
And I love it. You're right here in West Boylston. So what makes the shrimp that you're growing different from what I would buy in a grocery store?
In the grocery store, usually you're buying farmed shrimp, outdoor farm shrimp, or wild-caught shrimp. Most of our shrimp comes from Southeast Asia and Latin America. And if you've been listening to the news, you may have heard that Thailand was cited, one of our biggest suppliers, Thailand, was cited for essentially slavery and child labor violations. And not to mention the ecological disaster that shrimp farming typically is in an intensive environment like in Southeast Asia. It requires a lot of antibiotics, hormones, to get the shrimp to grow at a commercially desirable pace and ship them off in a reasonable amount of time.
So there's a lot that goes into this, basically, right?
There is, either way. But mostly this, above all the store-bought shrimp, it's about a month before it gets on the shelf.
Okay.
It has to be shipped from overseas, frozen, refrozen, and that's not the case with local farm shrimp.
No, this is so fresh, which I think is fascinating. So now you sell to restaurants.
Yes.
But you're also selling to people who would want to come in off the street, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So that's good for everybody to know. Talk to me about this whole process, how you start from the babies and work your way up. I need to learn about what's going on with these shrimp.
Okay. Well, these shrimp are essentially mature. This is our smallest shrimp. We would call maybe a small shrimp if we sold it to you. Our biggest one's right there. He's what we would term a colossal shrimp. And we sell everything between popcorn size, which is smaller than that, and colossal. We rate them as jumbo for pricing purposes.
Okay.
So a little less expensive than colossal. But we start with shrimp that are about less than a centimeter in length. And we start them off in a small pool and give them some extra TLC, which is mostly just making sure that their water chemistry is correct and feeding them regularly the right amounts. And as they grow and become more hardy, we move them into bigger pools so they have more room to grow. And eventually, you have
The jumbos. Now
Yes.
they keep molting, right?
They do. They're invertebrate, and they shed their shells a lot like snakes shed their skin. So every so often, that's exactly what they do. If they're going to grow in size, they actually need to lose their shell in the process. And after they shed their shell, the new one hardens up in a few hours, and they're back to doing what they do.
So to get to a colossal shrimp, it would be what, about a month?
Oh, longer than that.
Longer than that.
6 months about.
Oh, so you'll keep some shrimp in some of these pools for 6 months and keep.
It can happen that way. Most of the time, we sell all the shrimp by the time they're jumbo.
Okay.
It's harder. It's more time to grow colossal shrimp. and conditions have to be very suited for it. So eventually we might carry colossal regularly, but right now it's sort of up to chance if we have colossal.
Well, you've
So-
already got your hands full if you're doing everything from the small shrimp all the way up. How many times would you say they molt as they're growing? And how often?
How often? They start when they're babies, very small, less than a centimeter, and for a while they will shed their shells every few days. That's what they need to do to grow. It's kind of like a snake shedding their skin. As they get bigger, they won't shed their skin as much. Like this one here, or actually that one there's our biggest one.
Okay.
Maybe he'll shed once a month.
Okay. All right, so and each time they shed, they move to larger pools too, or as they grow, they move to larger pools, right?
Yeah, eventually they need more space to live. So we move them from our smaller nursery pools to our bigger 16-foot pools.
Well, let's go out and take a look at that because I know your brother Josh was going to show us what happens on the floor.
Right.
Okay? Great. Okay, so Adam, we're out here on the floor. Now, what size shrimp would be growing in this pool?
In this pool we have jumbo shrimp.
Okay, and the environment that they're kept in, the color of the water, this is what they like, right?
Yes, this is a lot like the brackish water that they spend a lot of time in. It is low salt. It has several different kinds of bacteria that protect them from pathogenic bacteria, and these bacteria feed on shrimp waste, and the shrimp like a lot of the bacteria's waste, so it's a virtuous cycle. It keeps everything clean. That way we don't have to use antibiotics or hormones while we're raising them.
Which is great. Now, and you must test this water constantly.
Yes, we test it once a day at least. We test it for alkalinity conditions, pH, nitrates, nitrites, these sorts of things. That takes a bunch of our time. It's a necessary step to make sure that the environment is safe and healthy for them.
Absolutely. Okay, so if I was coming in, if I wanted to place an order for some shrimp, you recommend that I call first. Why is that?
You should call first. If you don't want to wait for about 20 minutes, if you just come in, the process for us will take about 20 minutes to finish. So if you call us first, we will have the shrimp ready for you at an appointed time.
Okay.
But if you'd like to see us do this in person, just come right in and you can watch us do our thing.
See, and then you could watch the whole process, which would be fascinating. All right, so your brother Josh is going to help us here. We're placing an order for the shrimp. So what would you do?
So the first thing Josh is going to do is he's going to net up some shrimp.
Now, how full is this tank with shrimp? Pretty full?
We have a few thousand shrimp in it when it's full.
Okay. Wow, and they jump around, don't they?
They do. Whenever they're spooked, that's their all-purpose defensive reaction.
Okay.
Right now he's sizing the shrimp to make sure that they're all jumbo size and about the same size. It's a quality control thing that we do. And once he does that...
Oh, they're active, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They outside of the tank, they can survive 4 or 5 minutes, at least.
And Josh said you've had some jump out of the tank at times.
Yes. They're very skittish. So anything, whether it's a shadow or a loud noise or another shrimp just smacks into them unexpectedly, that tail that everybody loves so much, it's really big, meaty, powerful. They just flick their tail and it'll send them flying in whatever direction.
Woo! There they go. Okay.
So,
all right.
Once Josh has sized the shrimp, he'll take the shrimp and put them in an ice slurry.
Okay.
So very cold water. It will, within a few seconds, put them in a hibernation state. They won't wake up from it because they do need water to breathe.
Okay.
But at the same time, once they're hibernating. It's as painless as shellfish can be prepared before cooking.
Okay, all right, well, good to know. Okay, so Josh is almost ready. He's
Are you getting 2 pounds? 2 pounds. 3? Oh, okay. At this step, we count the shrimp. You know about how big we want them? Jumbo, 15 to 19 of them are 1 pound.
okay.
So he's going for somewhere between 45 and 60 shrimp.
And I've heard people who have come and bought the shrimp and cooked it that you've never tasted shrimp until you've had shrimp that's this fresh.
Right.
There really is a big difference in taste.
There is a big difference. If it comes from Thailand or Vietnam, they need to harvest it, freeze it, unfreeze it, weigh it, refreeze it, and put it on a freighter to come over. It's about a month-long process at least.
Right.
Whereas you can have shrimp freshly caught the same day with us.
And you will provide directions on how to cook it too, right?
Yes, we'll tell you how to cook it. And also, YouTube is excellent because there are a ton of videos on, not just different dishes you can do with shrimp, but just how to shell them and prepare them for, when they're done cooking.
Right. Well, because this is different than, again, what you buy, because they have the heads on and the shell, and they're fresh and just given to you that way, right?
Yep.
So there's a little learning curve there, but
It's a little learning curve, but once you're good at it, and it doesn't take that long to get good at it, cooking them is 5 minutes. When they're cooked, the shells generally come off fairly easy.
you were new coming into this whole process. What have you learned about shrimp farming?
Well, obviously you learn about shrimp when you're shrimp farming. I had no real knowledge of their life cycle beforehand or how to take care of them. So that we've done. We've also learned in a very informal way a lot about mechanics and engineering. Inevitably, when you start up a business, even with help, you're going to run into problems that nobody anticipated, and it's up to you to fix those problems. In our case, some of our pumps were defective. We needed to figure out better ways to light the area so the shrimp were less stressed out. We had to figure out ways to compensate for condensation. There should be no condensation getting into any of the pools, so we had to work with a ventilation specialist, and it's hard to control condensation in an environment like this, but typically we maintain about 70% humidity in the building, which more or less prevents it. Josh was very involved in installing our floor, which uses radiant heating. It's the most efficient way to heat an area this size. So he didn't know a lot about masonry or heating systems beforehand. Now he has a good clue about it.
Well, it's so impressive. I have to say, your learning curve must have been like this. And there's so much that goes into opening a business, but you've obviously overcome all those obstacles, right?
Yeah. No matter, what, there's always going to be an unexpected obstacle or disaster. And the trick is to not think, okay, well, my business is toast.
Right.
That's almost never the case. So you just stay calm, work through it, however long it takes, and usually you get back on track. So.
Right, and we're just thankful that you got back on track here in West Boylston because it's really great to have you. It really is.
Well, thank you.
So now what's he doing?
So every small bag is 1 pound of shrimp. We will put 2 pounds in a large bag on ice. So we try to cover both pounds with ice to keep them under about 38 degrees constantly.
Yeah.
When you take them home, you should put them in your refrigerator and use them within 4 days. That way they'll taste the freshest, they'll look the freshest. If you're not going to use some shrimp within 4 days, take that shrimp and freeze it.
Okay.
Because after 4 days, the flavor will start to change. And if you order ahead of time, we will also refrigerate the order for you. So
Until
it'll be
you
nice.
get there.
Yep, it'll be on ice. It'll be nice and cold when you get here, and you can take it right away.
Great. Well, and you're also selling to area restaurants, so I'm sure people will be seeing your shrimp on menus, around the area, right?
Right.
Yeah, good for you.
So far, Mezcal is trying some dishes with our shrimp.
Great. Good. And others will soon follow.
We're hoping
Okay.
after this long winter.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so if people have questions, they can call you. Again, ideally, give them 20 minutes notice, but if they want to see the process, come on in, right? And you're right on Lee Street. And you're open, how many days a week are you open?
We're open Monday through Friday from 1:30 to 6, or by appointment. We do take care of the shrimp in the morning, and if you have to come in the morning, just call us and we'll set up a time when you can come in. On the weekend, we're here from 9 to 5.
Great. Okay. I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot more people through those doors.
All right.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you to Josh. It's terrific.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.